Are you vegan curious or interested in what vegans think and do? Then I may have something to tickle your brain. Around the year 2016, I began exploring a cruelty free lifestyle. I would constantly find myself in a state of cognitive dissonance. And we'll talk more about that. My lifestyle habits, especially food choices, didn't seem to align with my evolving value system. I got interested in the topic of plant based consumption, came across loads of studies and content from reputed sources, which had quite an effect on my attitude and my behavior, I remember at that time. So, a few failed attempts later, I turned ethical vegan in 2019. Was it worth it? And what did I learn from this experience? Let's find out. Veganism, often viewed as an extreme and elitist Western idea, with influencers and celebrities promoting this lifestyle. While the term vegan itself was coined in 1944 by an English activist, Donald Watson, Indians have followed ahimsa, which is the core of today's vegan ideology, since ancient times. The history of veganism is very interesting, but that's a topic for another day. Well, my decision to go vegan in 2019 was not to be part of a cool club, a growing trend, or a cult. Following a vegan lifestyle is a psychological shift of your morals. But it all comes down to what is justified and what's inhumane. Can we watch someone being killed and gutted in front of us? Is it fair for cows and goats to be forcibly impregnated only to have their kids taken away for slaughter? Seems wrong because we cannot see the pain caused for a creamy cup of coffee. If you saw thousands of sensitive silkworms being killed in boiling water for a silk sari, would you ever wear it? What if someone used all your research to publish an award winning project? This is what we do to bees. All their hard work is downed in one glass of refreshing iced honey tea. That, my friends, is cognitive dissonance. People in general will show disbelief and ask you about this unconventional decision. The answer to why seems quite complicated and overwhelming at first, but the more you say it out loud, the better it feels and the more convincing it starts to sound. Now, with so much awareness around veganism, it's not as hard to explain why. There are a few simple answers that you can use for your next interrogation, and I'll leave a link in the description below. Try them out in your own style. A certain social stigma exists around veganism, even in an Indian society that is strongly rooted in vegetarianism and sattvic food choices. Sometimes you may get picked at for being a vegan. You may not get the support that you expect from your colleagues, your friends, and even your family. This feeling of not fitting in is quite normal during the early phases of turning vegan. Because naturally, you and people around you are not used to this change. Not everyone understands your perspective, at first at least. Even if people care, sometimes special arrangements for just one or two people is not entirely practical. What do you do in that case? First, the less you care about social stigma, the stronger you get as a vegan. Next, let people know in advance what they can order for you. And this applies to gifts as well. Turning vegan truly made me appreciate home cooked food. It is time consuming, no doubt, in comparison to eating out, but works out well in the larger scheme of things like your health, taste, expenses, etc. Having access to Indian cooking opens up a large variety of dishes which can be easily turned vegan, like dal, curries, sabzis, rotis, parathas, or even biryani. Moreover, with so many fantastic chefs online, I have managed to experiment with certain recipes, even vegan desserts, that were not part of my diet before. Variety is very important to sustain this lifestyle. But that does not mean you have to make indulgent meals all the time. Sometimes simplicity goes a long way with cooking. Now, let's say you get your meals from a local food provider, a canteen near your workplace. Crack a customized option for yourself with more vegetables and no dairy. Be firm about your requirement, and most will oblige if they need your business. If you want to experiment with the world of plant-based alternatives, go easy on them. There are plenty of options available, at least in the metro cities. I find myself reaching out to oat and soy milk quite regularly because I enjoy my chai white. By the way, these plant-based options do come with a slightly premium price tag as of now. But the good news for animals is that we are already seeing a surge in vegans around the world, as well as in India. Meat and dairy alternatives are now in competition with their traditional counterparts. The demand is already growing and the supply is catching up. This means plant-based options will soon become mainstream and affordable for everybody. Well, my biggest tip is to stick with fresh vegetables and whole foods for the majority of your meal preparations. The right amount of natural food can very well fulfill your daily nutritional requirement. That will significantly reduce your food budget and increase the overall quality of your meals. It is important to understand that veganism is not just restricted to our diets. It extends itself to the things we buy, personal care, beauty products, and even fashion. It involves our everyday lifestyle choices. But I will request each one of you watching this video to think about making compassionate choices. High chances that your next meal or a product you buy was not sourced in a humane manner. Someone was methodically raised and harmed against their will to provide us few moments of sensory pleasure. By not wearing or eating animal-based products, I aim to reduce the demand and thus reduce exploitation in the long run. Feel free to reach out to me if you need help on your journey, or please share this with anyone who needs to hear my perspective.